Welcome back everyone, Rob Marzullo here from Ram Studio Comics. So in today's video we're going to draw the male torso in a bit of an upshot, or also known as a low camera angle. So again, we'll start with this very rudimentary kind of box and primitive shape for perspective. And keep in mind this is just for perspective. It's not really to even flesh out the forms of the body. It's just an alignment tool so that as you start to draw in the major shapes of the body, you've got something to reference there. Notice too that a lot of these shapes are going to point up, and even more so because we're looking up at the character. So for instance, as the pectoral muscles generally come down on the character, they're still kind of coming down here, but they're going to be a little bit more skewed upward. So you have to think about that, and that's really what conveys the low camera angle that we're looking for. So you got to think about things like the collarbones. If they come down to a V in the middle of the chest, they're not going to come down quite as far as you're looking up, and so you got to adjust those kind of visually, and just keep an eye on that stuff as you're drawing through it. But you really want to be aware of that. Likewise with the stomach muscles, I want to make sure that there's an upward curve as they intersect, or the segments of them. Just little things like that. Now, I do want to make sure to point out that this isn't meant to be a realistic depiction. So if you were to hold this up to, say, a bodybuilder or UFC fighter, whoever's really chiseled, I guess, but you're going to see inconsistencies, or you're going to see things that don't line up to realism. This is all drawn out of imagination. And in fact, one of the studies that I do, just so that you can hopefully try this and implement it in your own work, is I'll actually study from realism, and I'll do digital paint studies or sketches. It doesn't really matter, but I usually like to paint them. And then I'll take those studies and I'll go for realism. But then I put that stuff away, and then I start to draw from my imagination, like you see me doing here. So that's just one of the ways I like to do it, so I'm not too heavily reliant on the reference, but I'm still taking time to study from life. But again, when I tend to draw from imagination, like you see me doing here, I'm just going with what some of the decisions I like to, put into my work that I think look cool. It's not really always a basis of this is exactly how stomach muscles look, or the pectoral looks and the shoulder looks raising up. I'm making judgment calls there, so just be aware of that. But realism is great. It's a great way to study. It's fantastic. But like I said, you might want to try it in the regards of where you do some with images for reference, even posted by you, and some without, so that you can see the difference of the choices that you make based upon imagination. Because what I tend to find with my own work, if I draw with too many shots of photography around me, I'll adhere too much to those, and then all of a sudden I kind of lose a certain element of my own style. So, take it as you will. That's just kind of what I found with my workflow. So here, as I start to, render this out, I'm using more line weight, more line breaks, like I often talk about. I've chopped off the arms and the waist, which looks a little bit gruesome, but keep in mind, I'm doing that because I want to really isolate my focus and my study on just the torso, just the shoulders, things like that. If I draw the whole character, flying across the screen, doing whatever, then I may make different choices. But when it comes to studies, I'm really trying to just look into that one area and go, okay, what can I make better? And let me also touch on that. When I say make things better, I don't mean to refine the same piece of art over and over and over again to where you get out one piece every few months or something. You got to be very careful of that, I think. Think about your refinement and your improvement over a period of time, and over a process, or a bunch of different art pieces, basically. So you don't stop producing art because you can't draw the shoulders connecting to the body as well as you'd like. Like, I could see that with this particular shot, it could be a lot better. There's a lot of things that I could critique on this and say I need to get better at this, and this. But if I let that slow my growth and slow my production of art, then it becomes a hindrance, and I don't want that. I want to just get better with each piece, but I also want to make mental notes and say, okay, after I did this study, I learned XYZ, but I really need to focus on, the shoulders and the connections and the way they connect to the body, or whatever it is. So I need to make those mental notes and then progress forward to the next study and the next study and the next study. But again, not letting it hinder you from producing work and finished pieces. I think that's very important. You want to keep that portfolio filling up with new finished pieces of art. So So yeah, so this one's coming to a close. I'd really love to know what you think in the comments section below. In the next few videos, we're going to do the female torso in a couple different perspectives. Then, like I mentioned in the previous video, we're going to do some where we attach the pelvis. So hopefully we'll all learn from this process. I'd love to know what you think in the comments section below. And as always, keep drawing, keep having fun, and I will talk to you soon.